Hi everyone, I'm going to show you guys what I did to get the wiring through the wing because it was a bit of thinking, but it is pretty easy actually, easier than I thought. So what I did was I took I think it's a 2mm pipe. Okay, this is a copper pipe, you can use any one you want. First clear out the hole because it will have support inside it from the printing, okay, all the way down to the base. Okay, what I did then was I took a 0.3mm steel wire and I kinked it slightly on the end. I don't know if you can see the kink on the end. Then I shoved it through the back of the 2mm pipe. This should actually be able to go through. You can feed it through from the other end if it does not go in. Okay. But it doesn't want to go in now, but it doesn't matter. So feed it through so that it just protrudes out the end, where it's actually kinked out the end. Okay, then shove the pipe all the way down till it actually hits rock bottom. Then put it back slightly and then push the wire. So the kink should actually make it direct towards the rear hole. Okay, once that's done, hold on to the wire, pull out your pipe. So then you're going to have a steel wire running through. So the idea is to get a piece of fishing line. I think it's a 0.5mm fishing line through the pipe to the back. It's pretty easy. Just make a little knot. Okay, bend your wire so it actually makes a loop on the end. As you can see, I have a loop on this one. Okay, so then you shove it through. Once it's through, you actually just hook the loop onto the knot and you pull your gut through and you untie it. So then you've got your piece of gut. So now simply all you do is make another knot on the end, a little bit larger, and you take your end of your wires plug. Okay, there, and you just hook it over and you tighten it. And then just pull your gut back through and your wire, your plug will come out the other end. So that'll be your first one. So for number 2, repeat the same process. So put the wire in, put it down, push it through, pull your gut through. So you can have your one light and the gut through. Okay, so the idea now is to get your plug for the front one to come out to the top, as you well know. So the trick now is to do exactly the same thing. So you take your actual light wire and you shove it through you just push it through, it'll come through the other end. Okay, and then you connect and make another knot, connect it onto the end, which will be your plug. This one, plug. And then you basically just put it back through and it'll pull it up. It'll pull it in reverse on this section, so it'll be double, and then it'll go up here and then it'll come out. Then you'll have your 2 wires for your lighting in. Okay, I did try different methods. I found this to be the easiest. So like I said, you're going to need a piece of fishing line, pretty easy to get, a steel strand of 0.3mm and a 2mm pipe. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I'll do possibly the cockpit lighting, or see how I'll fit I think I'll do the fitting of the battery and the connection board. Sorry about the noise in the background. I'm busy printing some FDM stuff, so it's quite noisy. I'll try and talk louder so you can hear me. So I've done a lot of progress on installing the lighting. As you can see, all the wiring's hanging out the back. I've done a couple of FDM designs or 3D designs which I've printed in FDM, which I'll make them available on the box accounts for download to make mounting of the parts easier. So the lights configuration is you got your cockpit lights and the DDC, your wing lights, your landing gear lights, and your engine lights. So the software that comes with that you need to download to make the lighting work properly has controls, and I'll put a picture up on the screen to show you exactly how they are. So you got an option to put your cockpit lights off and on, your radars off and on, and then your wing tip lights, you got strobes or continuous on, 2 different strobes and off, and then your engine lights, you can actually got a wheel to change the colors, which is quite nice. So the mount that I've made, the way I've actually thought of designing it is, the area I found easiest to control the lighting is at the back of your detail part. Okay, so I've designed a little thing you can stick on. This will be available on the box account. So basically your board slides into the slot, and then all your things are written down showing what parts there are. So you've got your wings, etc. Okay, so the idea is to pull this out, then you can switch it off and on. So there's a mount for the switch that basically goes on the back end. It just pushes on. So you can put it out, hit your switch to switch it on, and then put this section back in again. And then for your connecting of your lights, etc., you'll have your plugs. The only area I could find if you want to connect with power is right through the back. I've drilled a hole, as you can see, and your power, magnetic power connector, actually I'm still gonna glue this in. So it glues into that area and looks like a bit of technology sticking out the back. Okay, like that. Then you can just connect your magnetic power onto there to charge your battery. As for the battery, the only area I could find to actually mount it where it would work well, where it's close enough to the rear panel, is underneath your top of your top pod engine. So there will be a file to print this FDM battery holder, which will fit the battery holder that comes with the lighting kit perfectly. And this is where the wiring comes out, and then it sits nice and tight, so when it goes in, the battery won't fall out. So just to give an idea how that looks, there we go. So there, as you can see, everything fits in with a gap behind, so glue it to the front end, and then you just slide your lighting through. Okay. As for your engine lighting, what I've done is I found that the rear lower lights, the lower engines, the space between the actual clear part and the light was like touching. It was way too close. So I've made a spacer which goes in, which looks the same, which will be available to download and print as well. So then you just paint that, glue it together, do your painting, etc., and then set up your lighting, and then you put your piece in. Okay, what I did was I put a light blue plastic sheet over the lighting just to kill the brightness slightly. You do not need to, since the lighting changes color. Okay, so just to show you guys how it looks, so here you got one switch to turn it on. The lights turn on. I cannot change colors now. I will insert a video basically over what I'm saying at the moment to show you the different configurations of your lighting, but you can change the color, like I said, on your engines. I've not done a cockpit yet, but I have connected up the radius. It looks like this. It's a nice big size, so this basically flaps over and fits into the gap behind the cockpit mount and the brace that holds it in. These two strips on the sides is to provide lighting for the sides of the cockpit, because there is instrumentation on the sides. So that will be for these lightings down the side. Okay, for the rest, there's a panel lighting or a light sheet. Okay, so I've started working on the cockpit by masking out the areas that will be lit up. Okay, so I'm using this micro mask liquid masking medium. You paint it on let it dry, then you can actually paint your part and then scrape off the blue, and then you'll have your clear part showing through. So that will be my next step. I've already started with this top section. And for him, there's 3 little lights that come with the lighting kit. You get a file to print this little mount, which basically slips into the inside of this piece. Actually, no glue required. So once you master it off, then you can mount your lights on. There's little pedestals on each one. Okay. Your lighting on your wings, so you can see it properly. Let me turn this. That looks very nice. Okay, so like I said, you can make it flash 2 different strobes. What I did with this mounting is I did not glue anything on, except on the top of where the lighting comes through to the top of the wing, where it mounts into the body. So once I had these in place, I pushed the light in. I painted a light clear red over the top of each one, just to give it a red color, because they actually come white. They might have a red tint to them, to be honest, depending on which. When I printed them, some of them were a little bit discolored. But anyway, you push it in, no glue required, and then once you're happy with them, you can glue it on top. Okay, I use the clear micro scale to glue it on. Okay, and then you just push these lights, push in, and they sit quite tight. So you do not need to glue them in either. And they're very bright, as you can see, and they look very nice when they flash. Okay, so to switch them off, double click, off they go. Okay, and then the nice thing is, like I said, you can change your lighting at the back. For the landing lights, I actually just made holes and shoved the lights in. The light that I received 2 sets of lights for the wings, and I actually ended up using the 1 5mm set that was for the wings for the landing. So like I said, this is a test lighting kit. So it's playing around with it and to see how it actually works, what works best. So what I did on the rear lighting is the only space I could find for the light to actually shine through is the one corner. Okay, you can actually choose either corner. I chose the front one. Okay, and I drilled a hole through the printed part, and then with the pod fully assembled, obviously. Okay, this is now the printed part as you'll get it in the box, but with the pod section on the bottom, I actually drilled straight through front. Okay, and then I pushed the light in from the top, so that basically it'll shine through a channel. Now your part will be hollow, so that might affect it. I'm not too sure. I've got my test lights that I'm using are red because they were meant for the wings, so I'll be getting hopefully a new set of white ones to test it out. But I don't think the landing gear wells need a lot of lighting. It needs like a dim light, not a spotlight. It might look better. I don't know, it might look better in red. I must put it together and see how it looks actually first. Okay, so that's the rear lights. On the front light, there was no space almost. I had to really do a lot of thinking on to figure out where the light will go. And with your landing gear in, the only space is where the screw goes into the side. As you can see, I drilled a hole through the side. Okay, this is like a 5mm hole. This might only work if you print out your front section, because I've made an option, and it'll be online to download and print yourself on a resin printer, is the front nose section, or front cockpit section, these 2 parts, which will be split in 2. Then it'll be easy to drill a hole through the side. So what I did was, while they were apart, I actually drilled through the side. As you can see, the wires coming out here. And then I just pushed the light in from the back, so that it does not protrude or else you will not get your landing gear box into the actual area. Okay, it won't go any of the lights in the way. Okay, unless you're going to glue the model together, then you can do what you want. You can drill through the top, through the side, wherever. Okay, on the FD, if you're using the FDM print only, it might have to be at an angle from the bottom, because this will be one piece. Okay, so you'll have to play around with it. Okay, so that's the landing lights. As you can see, I've put the decals on. I'm getting a new set because it's slightly the wrong color, so it's been redone. And I'll just wipe these off and put new ones on. Okay, but the decals are straightforward. Nothing much to say there. Okay, thanks.